living in Virginia, you're in the fast lane on the information superhighway. We've invested $3 billion in Virginia's broadband network to give you one of the fastest internet connection speeds in the world, so you can build relationships, bring new business to our state, and meet the future of education. It's amazing what we can do together. Visit VCTA.com to learn how broadband connects the Commonwealth.
From the General Assembly and the City of Richmond, I'm Woody Evans for Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Comcast, connecting Virginians to their government. We've got two members from Pittsylvania County with us today. Delegate Danny Marshall, good to see you, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Woody, and I'm from Danville, but I'm still glad to be here.
Good, good. Senator Bill Stanley, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really well. It's great to see you, Woody.
Good, likewise. You're a pet lover, as I understand it. You've
Absolutely.
got some legislation dealing with pets.
Yes, I do. Actually, animal welfare when it comes to companion animals is something that my kids are really strong about, my wife is really strong about, I'm really strong about. So we try to do what we can to help those that are without a voice. And so we do come up here with some legislation that will encourage adoption, helping those rescued animals find forever homes. So this year we've got a couple pieces of legislation. One was to create an animal abuse registry. That would put those that are convicted of the most serious and heinous crimes against animals on a registry where other people can access it and the law enforcement can access it. That way our humane societies and other adoption agencies can check that list to make sure if there's someone there that wants a dog and that they're not getting it for improper purposes and that they deserve to have that animal. That's a bill that's really important. And the second one, and it's a list that actually has worked in other states, so I think it's a great law enforcement tool and a great tool for the public as well. Another one was we're finding in the opioid crisis is that people are harming their animals and then taking them to veterinarians so that they can be prescribed opioids. The opioids are not going to the animal, however, they're going to the owner. So what we're doing in another piece of legislation is making sure, because veterinarians can dispense basically over the counter at their veterinarian's office, is that if there's, other than post-operative opioids that may be given to a dog or cat after surgery in the veterinarian's office, that those prescriptions, if they're given for that dog or cat, are obtained at a pharmacy like we usually do normally. And when you go to a pharmacy, your name, the owner's name, would be checked against the PMP, which is a list to make sure that you're not doctor shopping or abusing drugs or perhaps using them for the wrong purposes. So that way, we're protecting an avenue where opioids aren't going to be illegally distributed to people that shouldn't have them, and also in the care and protection of animals. Finally, we've got a bill right now you might have seen in Richmond in the McGuire Medical Center. There was a person conducting very painful, what they call type E experiments with dogs, giving them no pain relief, and really was harmful to the animals. So I decided, along with Senator Glenn Sturdivant, that we should have a policy in Virginia that says your taxpayer money, my taxpayer money, Danny's taxpayer money should not go to pay for these experiments, because quite frankly, I think that most Virginians, 80% own animals, almost all of them believe they're a part of the family, and I think once they're aware that this is going on, that they don't want their tax money going to something like that. So those are some of the ones we've done this year.
Delegate Marshall, you are a resident of Southside. I believe you grew up there.
I did.
There's an opioid crisis in your district, I take it as well. What was it like when you were growing up there in terms of drug abuse and those kinds of things versus what's happening now?
Well, I grew up in the in the Andy Griffith area, and so it was before that certainly opioids, and our area was one of the most prosperous areas in the state. Martinsville, Henry County, Danville, Pittsylvania County, we had 45% of our jobs was manufacturing. If you wanted a job, you could easily find a job, and so a good paying job that would provide for you and your family to put a roof on your head and send the kids to college. And so and all that changed with a stroke of the pen, something called NAFTA. And so if you look at the city of Danville, just take it to, reduce it there, the population went from about 65,000 to about 45,000. At one time, 10% of the housing in Danville was vacant. And that's just been a few years ago. And so we had to close 4 schools with that much population left because the kids left with them. So we have had, kind of a backs against the wall, throughout, Senator Stanley's district and my district of trying to bring prosperity back to the area. I was invited to go with Senator Warner, he was Governor Warner at the time, to a site over in Henry County where they announced to that company that they were closing down. That company was making money. The company was sold so that a Chinese company could take the brand name and transfer it to China and make those products under Chinese labor, but ship them over here with their name. And you can see the fear on those people's faces that where they don't know if they're going to be able to put a roof on the head, over the heads, or they're going to put food on the table. You could tell that they were just frightened. And it's something that's burned in my heart brain here that no fault of their own, because we have a great workforce, we have a great population. There's a group in Danville called God's Pit Crew, and they do disaster relief. And if you look at year after year after year of how much money they are able to raise in the city of Danville and Pittsylvania County, when our average household income is less than $30,000, it's just amazing how big the people's hearts are back home. So, I think that both of our goals is trying to bring prosperity back to the South Side.
Mm-hmm. Although you didn't grow up there, you've been there for quite a while, and you have seen the same effects of the North American Free Trade Agreement, I take it.
NAFTA and the Central American Free Trade Agreement, CAFTA. My family is from the South Side area. My dad was in the military, so we moved into Virginia Beach in 1974. It was a military town. That's where he was stationed at the time. I mean, it was all military. There wasn't that much prosperity that you see now. In 1978, we moved to Northern Virginia, and the #1 industry in Northern Virginia in 1978 wasn't what you see it is now. It was dairy, and actually had a higher unemployment rate than Pittsylvania County, Danville, Henry County, Franklin County, Martinsville.
Dairy
Cows made great milk, and it was really good. And there were farms. We used to say Northern Virginia was football fields and farm fields, and that has completely changed. But at that time, we had the lowest unemployment rate down here. We had the highest per capita income in the state. We had Pittsylvania at one time had the highest population in the state of any county. I mean, we were at the top. And so when NAFTA and CAFTA came in, it slowly eroded what we had built and worked so hard for. Think of it this way, and I think this is sometimes the attitude that we all have. We were doing what we were doing to build Virginia. We were the industrial center of Virginia. We built Virginia and got her to this point. And then the federal government comes in and says, we're going to bring this North American Free Trade Agreement. It's going to be great. Your sneakers are going to be cheaper. No problem. Our jobs started going. The Central America CAFTA Free Trade Agreement's coming in. It'll be great. No problem. More jobs went away. Oh, and by the way, tobacco is bad, and we're going to pay you not to grow it. Well, then that took jobs out of the farm fields that people had been for generations raising tobacco. And so then EPA regulations when it came to textiles and also in our stain rooms and paint rooms and our furniture. And so all that went overseas. So we get a little tired when the government says, here, this will be good for you, when in fact it's not. And I think what they've tried to replace our industriousness with handouts, and whether it be Medicaid expansion, government dependence. And our people don't want a handout. We want a hand, and we'll do the rest. So, I think the attitude is there that we're going to build ourselves back up, brick by brick, build a foundation again of economic recovery. We want to get to the point right now where our kids aren't leaving to go find jobs, because then they don't come back. We want to get to a point where we've created enough economic development and revitalization that when our kids grow up and they're having kids, we're visiting them across the street, not across the state or across the country.
Of course, go ahead.
So let's that's a bad side. Let's talk about the good side. Let's be positive. So if you look at 2017, Danville, Pittsylvania County got base hits as far as economic development. One time we got a couple of people on base, and then we get a double play, takes both of them out. And what I mean is if you look directly across the street from the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, there's a company called Caracia. It is a company from the UK, United Kingdom, that was brought to Danville. And the main reason they came to Danville is because of the talented pool of precision machinists that are being graduated from DCC. So
That's Danville Community College.
Danville Community College, excuse me. And so the president of the company says that is the main reason we came here, is because of that talent pool. So it shows me that if you train people with the skills, then it attracts businesses. But it also shows me that our people have the will and have the skills that they can be taught. So there have been 3 other companies from the UK that have located in Danville or are getting ready to locate. From December 1 through Christmas, there were 6 companies from the UK that visited Danville, again because of precision machining. So precision machining is a piece of the economic development puzzle. There are other things that we're trying to work on. So we had another announcement up in northern Pittsylvania County. Amthor in Gretna is getting ready to do about 110,000 square foot building. They're going to add 90 employees, and these are going to be welders that will be certified and taught at Danville Community College. And so, you know, we're getting base hits, and so it's hopefully we turned a corner.
I think you were instrumental as well in terms of the expansion of that precision tool training at Danville Community College.
Well, the former president of Danville Community College, Carlisle Gregory, talked to former delegate Don Merricks and Senator Ruff, and took us to a precision machining company over in Burlington, North Carolina, where a lot of the DCC students were going to work. And so he says that that we should up the number. And so at the same time, Bill and I are on Tobacco Commission, and we had a report from a company called Boston Consulting, and they said that we could use up to 250 precision machinists a year. And so we got money through, at that time, Governor McDonald's budget, and so they're up to 80 graduates a year. They have the same classes out in the K through 12 out at Chatham for seniors and juniors. Then also at GW, a high school in Danville, they started that this year. So you know the goal is to get it up to about 125 or so in Danville. And if you have that talented work pool, you attract companies.
How important has the Tobacco Commission been in terms of economic development in Southside?
It's been absolutely critical. I think without it, we would be still struggling. I think we couldn't do the things that we're doing right now. I think Danny's work on the Tobacco Commission has been just phenomenal and outstanding. Danny focuses like a laser beam on economic development, workforce training. We all do. But Danny has really led the way to make sure that Pittsylvania County, Danville, Franklin County, the sister counties around it, are getting the best opportunities to bring public dollars in with private investment. And that creates jobs and economic opportunities. And of course, it then raises tax revenues at the local level, which help our schools and public safety. We've had some great projects come out of the Tobacco Commission that have benefited Pittsylvania County and Danville. We anticipate there will always be more. I think we're so proud of what even our school system has done there with technical training, and also the Danville Community College. They've really taken the bull by the horns. I think, and I know Danny thinks, that the way that we can lead ourselves out of where we are right now and what we're building on for our future and for the future of our children is through education and workforce training. And I think you're seeing the payoff of that, with the companies that are coming in. They want to be where the pipeline of a workforce is, and we're building that pipeline, whether it's Martinsville New College Institute, or at IALR, or at Danville Community College. We have really an education infrastructure that I think is going to, and is paying real dividends for our area. And I think, that's just something that other places don't have. We've been very aggressive, and we'll continue to be aggressive about it. When Danny and I come to Richmond, we make sure that we are supporting those entities, and we're making sure that they're going to have the best ability to do as much as they can. And Tobacco Commission is vital to that.
The New College Institute is of recent vintage. How is it doing?
Well, I'm now the chairman. Danny and I sit on the board of directors there, and we have transformed basically New College. Instead of being an a la carte avenue for college education, we kind of figured out, Danny used to say, a French degree is not going to bring a job to Martinsville, Henry County, or Pittsylvania County, Danville. So what we're focusing now on is 4 distinct areas that will help the community and also give our students the best opportunity to get a high-paying job, and by, again, creating that pipeline so that the manufacturers and the other companies will come here. That will be in cyber, and computer technologies. I'll be in engineering, and we're going to develop an advanced manufacturing 4-year degree there. These are all 4-year degrees. The health sciences, because we want to make sure that our hospitals and our healthcare is strong and that infrastructure is strong. So we'll be graduating nurses and nurse practitioners that will help keep our area healthy. And then the final one is education. Growing our teachers right there in New College so that we know that we're having the highest quality teacher teach our children in the public system. When we focus on those 4 areas, and especially in cyber and engineering, you're talking about a 4-year degree. We're using Danville Community College and Patrick Henry Community College in a 2+2 model. You get your associate's degree from there, and then you're accepted into the James Madison University, JMU's 4-year program for engineering and 4-year program for cyber. When you graduate, the chances are that graduate's going to have a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year starting job. If I was ever told when I was a younger man that I could have graduated from college and gotten that kind of pay, I would not be a lawyer. And I wish somebody would have said that to me at the time. But this is the opportunity that we can create for them. If we can create enough graduate engineers, just in the same way we're talking about the pipeline at Danville Community College, those companies are going to come here because that's what they need. And so we're focusing on what the needs are of the industries that are in our area and also the industries that we want to come to our area.
What about dual enrollment with high schools and community colleges?
So again, precision machining, the model at Danville Community College was replicated at Pittsylvania County and also at Danville at George Washington High School. And so it's been a little bit longer ongoing out in Pittsylvania County. And so the juniors and seniors, if you walk into the lab in Pittsylvania County, and if you walked into one at DCC, it's exactly the same machinery, it's exactly the same curriculum. So those young men and women in Pittsylvania County, also in Danville, taking the same classes they are at DCC. So once they graduate from high school, then they only have to go to community college 1 year. And so mom and dad really likes that. They only have to pay tuition 1 year. It adds extra people into the pipeline as far as so those young men and women are getting out, getting a great paying job a lot quicker. We also have started something a couple of years ago. It's called Capstone. It's at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, and it is a 3rd year. And so it is some of the people that graduate from DCC are taking this 3rd year of precision machining, but also we've had people as far away as Whitful have come to take this. And so again, we keep trying to raise that bar. As Senator Stanley says, so many communities you got to have land, you got to have water, you got to have sewer, you got to have all those there. But the main thing you got to have there is a talented work pool. And that's why the companies are coming there, because they see a pipeline where we're graduating 80 now. Our next goal is 100. So 100 young men and women are going to be graduating each year from this community college. And so they see that they have a talent pool that will be long coming. So that's what the attraction is. Precision machining to start with, cyber, just like the Senator talked about. Because Danville Community College last year this time was accredited as a center of excellence for cybersecurity. So we already have a company called Mid-Atlantic Broadband that has the fastest fiber in the U.S. and that is going to be connected to a line that's going to start at Virginia Beach and go to Spain. So we'll be able to connect Southside Virginia to Spain. So we'll be able to have another portal to get to Europe. So it'll be a big plus for our area.
Senator, we have to make sure that our children K through 12 stay in school. There's been a lot of suspensions over the last few years, and I know you've been working on that issue as well.
Yes, and over the past 2 years, I've really looked at this issue, and we call it kind of from the classroom to the courtroom, a pipeline we don't want to create. Because we're talking about at the very youngest age. Woody, I know you probably remember things when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, more than what you remember what you had for lunch 2 days ago.
Absolutely.
And because they make the biggest impression on you. So when there is a disruption and when there is behavior that is not criminal, what we're seeing is that there is a lot of suspensions going on where they could have corrected behavior. It's kind of like taking a vacation from your problem. Let's send the kid away for 5, 6 days. Well, what you may not know is that there may be a broken home, or what we're sending them to is even worse. And then that child goes home and thinks, well, I must be a failure. Well, they're saying I'm bad, so I'm going to be bad. And and the longer that you keep them out of school, the more behind they fall with their peers, both socially and academically, and that creates a big problem, and then they never catch up. Also, it's disproportionate to minorities and those with learning disabilities or special needs kids. They're 2 and 3 and 5 times more likely to be suspended. And again, it's for disruptive behavior, not for criminal behavior. That's a different thing altogether. So one of the bills I have this year, I had 2 bills last year that would have limited long-term suspensions so that we can keep the child learning, try to correct the behavior, and not have them out for 364 days where they're now a year behind or 2 years behind. Because then the chances are more great that they're going to be in the court system or they're going to be on government assistance, and they become tax burdens, not tax benefits, by being good taxpayers. This year's bill focuses on K through 3, that we shouldn't be suspending a kid from 5 to 8. We should have other tools in the toolbox that are going to help us correct that behavior, reinforce good behaviors, not validate bad behaviors or send them away without that kind of correction. If we can do that and grab them up, because this is the tender years, when their brains are developing the most, and make sure that they know that the behavior is bad, but that we believe in them, that we want to give them a chance at the American dream, then the chances are better that we can correct the behavior and they're going to have a successful academic life and a successful social life. And they're going to go out and try to achieve that dream. They're going to go maybe want to have a passion for precision machining or get in the engineering and cyber program. We have to create opportunities. And at that age, I think it's most important that we take a little bit extra time because if we don't, we're going to lose them. So my bill stops those suspensions for K through 3 unless there's a criminal act, a serious criminal act that occurs. And so that way, we're giving those kids a fighting chance.
Great. Now, another positive aspect.
Thanks.
It is. Another positive aspect of the area you represent and the committee you chair is agriculture.
Yes.
Talk to us about how agriculture has done over the last 10 to 20 years.
You know, I tell people that the number one industry, what is the number one industry in the state? What's the number one industry in Pittsylvania County? And people will guess all kinds of things, computer chips statewide or other things, but it's still agriculture in statewide and in Pittsylvania County. The number 2 is forestry, statewide and Pittsylvania County. So it still makes a big impact on our way of life. I mean, it has for hundreds of years. And so one of the things that when I was offered the chance to chair agriculture, Chesapeake, and natural resources, I jumped at it because it's so influential into what we want to do and what we have a bill right now, Right to Farm. And so it's in the House right now, Delegate Gilbert's bill. And what it does is in certain areas, in certain other states, somebody will move in next to a farm and the farm is already there. And then sometimes a year they get this smell that kind of floats through the air and they don't know what that smell is and they don't like that smell and it's strange smell to them. So which we grew up with those smells.
Smell of prosperity. That's what it is.
Yes, but they don't understand that, and they don't understand that those tractors are out there running at sun up and to sundown. And so in some places they have had class action lawsuits to shut down farms. In some states that has happened. So we have passed a bill in the House that will be coming to the Senate after crossover about the right to farm, that farm is there and that person who has that farm has the right to farm. And so it sounds pretty simple, and it is pretty simple until you get the lawyers involved. The bad ones involved.
I'm reformed, okay? I know. That's a good bill.
It is a good bill. And so we want to protect our farmers,
yes.
And we also trying to protect and offer them other products. One of the things is hemp. Is that I hear this all the time. I'm sure Senator Stanley does also. But the problem we have with hemp is there's a federal moratorium on the production of hemp. Now, if you go to Europe, most of the European cars, the dashes, the doors, inside the doors, is made out of a hemp product. We could be doing that, so we could be raising that product throughout Southside. So as there was a bill a few years ago to do research on hemp.
I think that was Delegate Yost.
It was,
yes.
And so he made something on the a comment on the floor. It's rope, not dope. So that you cannot get high on hemp. So Virginia Tech And JMU and I think Virginia State is doing research on hemp. So the research is out there. We got to get the feds to pass that, and then we got to build a market for it.
So forestry, something that's important to your senatorial district, I take it as well.
Absolutely. As Danny said, it's such a big producer and job creator in our area. It's renewable. In our forestry industry, for every tree that they harvest, they plant 2. And it's a renewable source for them, and they are very good stewards of the land, and they're very responsible. It's billions of dollars in economic activity. It's great revenue sources for the local government. It absolutely is essential to us. And it's